Just Psycho here. So yeah, I'm gonna be talking about Drake's new album Iceman and why a lot of insiders claim it's been officially delayed, and more updates on why and why it probably hasn't come out in the past few weeks or in the past upcoming weeks. He's been teasing this album for the last year and a half, going on 2 years now, and you can just tell that something is really going on. But here I'm gonna tell you why. So apparently, with this album, according to sources, allegedly trustworthy sources, Drake Iceman isn't coming out this week, late February, where there are a few people in this nature claiming that it could be receiving this album by March 6th. Well, there's no longer the case, even if there was a possibility. There was a real possibility. Insider Hub on Twitter, X account, who's followed by another noteworthy rap social media page by Kirko, swear up and down that Iceman is being delayed. Drake delayed, 1,000% confident in our source. The account said hours ago, you guys were supposed to get something a couple days ago, but that since has been delayed, they add. The exact thing that they were slated to get our hands on is unclear. However, what wasn't for sure. Allegedly, per this account, was the release date related. He says on Insider Hub, and we claim, and of course Insider Hub, who's been pretty much one of the people people have been sorting for a lot of the hip hop news and everything. He's been pretty much getting everything accurate, from what I've been hearing and for what a lot of online hip hop media fan base has been looking at. So he said pretty much that Drake's album has been delayed, and he pretty much said he's confident in the source. Said he will wear that first L because this is probably the first time he got something wrong. Any updates we will provide immediately, he was basically adding. And so he talks about while we know a little bit more, says that they're a lot more skeptical about the official delay. He tells the fans this, and the fans have been responding back. However, this account has been a decent track record of predicting these sort of things. And of course, I don't like to sort this guy, DJ Academics, but I'll just say this. He's been the main one that's probably the closest advocate to when Drake's new music is coming out. So he basically says that some hackers hacked some of the Drake's old songs that he wanted to use for the Iceman album and were trying to extort him for it. So when Act played a snippet of it, they released the whole song. And in fact, in the tweet on February 8th, they called that Baby King's album announcement came out the same week. Baby King's album was getting officially announced this week on Insider Hub. Leaked it first. Sure enough, we got it within the next 48 hours. But it still takes a certain grain of salt, as he claims. Chances since Iceman was dropped unexpectedly. Then of course, Academics leaked the snippet right around the day of or the day before J. Cole's release of the album, The Fall Off. Drake was not tight about what Academics did with releasing those 2 snippet tracks. And however, he didn't even know that was the Toronto MC that was allegedly extorted by hackers, he basically implied. And he claims that that last month that these alleged hackers felt that they were once given the green light to unleash the music. But of course, like I said, Drake didn't okay Act's teasing that it could be factoring into the alleged confirmed delay. Now, I can get to more. So apparently, Act when he was acting as the middleman with Drake and the fans during the Iceman rollout, he's been teasing the project, and it's released just as much as not more. The artist has to be quiet to be quite honest. All right, what's going on, Swift Reed? The project is not available yet, and folks are growing more impatient with each passing day. And according to Kirko, the other insider source talking about this, he was claiming that Academics believes that Drake went through 3 iterations with Iceman, the third version of the cook up after he came off a tour. And Academics goes on to claim that the boy told him, when I was doing this episode, Iceman streams, I really had to get all these things done in between me doing these shows. It was pretty tough. Now I'm home and now I'm locked in. I'm working. Now it's work. And he thinks that the third one is going to result in the official version of Iceman. With that in mind, it sounds like there's a chance that previous singles like What Did I Miss and Which One were merely tracks to keep fans fed. So they're probably not going to be on the official iteration version of this album. And of course, we just read through this claim. So yeah, pretty much my thoughts on the Drake album being delayed and why he had to go through several different iterations. It pretty much boils down to this, that he was already on tour while in the process of doing these records. So I just think that Drake wanted to take a little bit of time to try to perfect a bit of the music and everything. And whatever the other two iterations that he would have wanted to get out, he had pretty much people that was hackers and leakers, like everybody else, like every other artist does have hackers and leakers to the music, and people that use a bunch of AI to try to antagonize and try to make their own iteration versions of songs that probably didn't get officially released by the artist to not do it. So I feel like he wanted to perfect the music and perfect the art. And I feel like once he gets locked in and really locked into the studio and really finish it, I think that's kind of why it didn't really come the way he wanted to come out. And for me, at this point, I think that a lot of folks need to really be careful when they start to put things out on social media and using their platform wisely, because now you affecting these artists' outlet, you affecting these artists' work by putting things out there to the forefront to feed the fans, when that's supposed to be left for the artists themselves to do. That's less for the rappers and for the musicians themselves to do, not for the actual social media guys. And that's just a bad thing. It's just a bad rep, in my opinion, because it makes it seem like the artist is not taking the time to craft it, when you got other people that are just so hyperventilated and hypertension up to really go look for something new. You got to really let the artists really work out their own kinks and work out their own views and work out their own merit to release the music that they want to put out, because at the end of the day, it's just what they want. There are certain things, there's certain lines, or there may be certain things in the engineering, in the audio engineering, and the production, or in their vocals, or in the verses that they may not have liked, that they didn't even want to get put out yet. That's sometimes that it happens. Certain arrangements may not have been all the way clear. Certain samples may not have been cleared. Like, samples have not been always been cleared, because a lot of rappers use a lot of samples. Rappers been using a lot of samples. Don't get me wrong, they do. So sometimes you don't get the artist permission that you're sampling from, and doesn't get cleared. Yeah, it'll take you time to do that as well. So I just say that you gotta let these people. You gotta be careful when it comes to letting these albums, or letting the guys release the music, man. And it's just a thing where I just don't understand, like, why you gotta really claim that something is coming out when it really officially doesn't, until we get the actual artist's if we don't get the actual artist consent and the context and the claim that themselves that they're actually putting out newer material, newer content, then I wouldn't really put anything past academics or anybody else to really report on it, really put it on it wisely, or really report on it wisely. So that's just my thing. I feel like we gotta really just take precautionary measures and really take it with a grain of salt with certain people that are pushing out the music. It's just like, let these guys really perfect it and let these guys really do it. And with Drake, I really feel like, I don't necessarily think he's like a perfectionist or whatever with the art, with the music and everything. He's more, like I said, he's more of the hit maker. He's more of the the rapper that just pop artist that just makes a lot of hit making songs that really top the charts and everything. That really has the crowd going, for the energy going, for the summer. But at the same time, like, within and of itself, you gotta take it with a grain of salt, and you gotta really understand, like, it's best to be a little bit careful with how you handle pushing out somebody's art and content, and you gotta really take it with face value. And especially people like academics, which I don't trust, and I've never really trusted like that. When it comes to Drake, I think that they'll most of the time be on point. So, when do I expect the Iceman album to be coming out? Now, my best bet is in the spring, really, really, really in the spring. I say around May, but if not, if anything could come out early, the earliest is like the middle of April. That would be make the only sense in the world for this album to come out, because a lot of like I said, a lot of folks, of course, like the Drakes, like the J. Coles, and even sometimes anybody in the big three, they like to take over the summer. And any other artists like Travis Scott and Doja Cat and everybody, they like to take over the summer. And that's why I feel like they'll push certain projects back that they really want to push out, because they really feel like they want to take over the summer. Like June, July, that part of the summer, they want to take over. They want to really put the content out there. They want to take it over, go on tours for the summer, and really feed the fans, because that's where you make your most money off of. It's your tours and your stadiums. And going internationally. Your international markets are very much there. So that's just how I see it. The international markets are the ways to be going at this point. So I think they feel like they want to take over the summer, and really feel like they want to be energized and really push the music that they want to push. And Iceman, I hope the third iteration that does come out, it's better than what the other tracks that he been trying to feed the fans what they were, because the other track, What Did I Miss, I wasn't really the biggest fan of. I've said that plenty of times. But which one? I feel like that was the other. That was a much better record, and I feel like the iteration that he had with the other song that he had with Yeet. I think that was on the second or third episode of Iceman. I think that was definitely a better record than than What Did I Miss. And even when the beat switch happened, I wasn't really the biggest fan of that either. So yeah, hopefully with these other iterations of songs that he has, when it does come out, it's gonna be something engaging and something interesting. Now, I'll probably do, matter of fact, because I was gonna do a separate video on this. But you know what? I might as well just do it in this, because I feel like this will be I was gonna do a separate video of ranking his album, but you know what? Since we in the middle of probably doing this. So I was gonna do a separate video on this, but I figured we might as well, since we talking about the Iceman record, we're gonna rank all Drake albums from worst to best. So I might as well just change the title. Hello, Moto. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. I was in a call. Anyways, like I was saying, I didn't forget. So yeah, so doing a Drake album from worst to best, like I was saying. So all of the iterations, were the only ones we're not gonna count is Care Package, because I didn't hear that record, and yeah, we're not gonna count that record. And yeah, we're not gonna count that record. That's the only one we're not gonna count. So, anyways, let's get to that Drake albums from worst to best. So this is not my ranking. This has already been on the internet. So, anyways, here is my ranking from the Drake albums from worst to best. So starting at, and this is like 1, 2, 3. So we got 12 projects because I'm not counting that. So starting at the bottom and starting that ranking of last, I have is Scorpion. I think that to me is his weakest album today. I don't really see where that project is gonna be high on anybody's list to me, and I don't see how it is that high to me. I think it has some of his worst songwriter. I think it's had some of his worst production choices. It had a lot of chart sensation making hits, from from In My Feelings and Nice for What, and then it had some, charting songs from Mob Ties and so on and so forth. But Sandra's Rose 8 to 10 was pretty decent, but other than that, no. I mean, I'm Upset, and you already got, of course, Nonstop. Yeah, I just wasn't a big fan of this record, so that would be going in at 12. So at number 11, I have the Certified Lover Boy. Number 10, Dark Lane demo tapes. A record that was pretty much Drake just trying to still continue to make those charting success records, but at the same time, he did have a couple of records that I thought was interesting, that I thought was pretty good. As far as that Chicago Freestyle, I think that's pretty much one of his better records on the album. But other than that, it's not something that doesn't have a whole lot of high replay value. So number 10 we have is, excuse me, that was number 10. Number 9 is For All the Dogs. Number 8 is More Life. Number 7 is Views. Oh, and Honestly Never Mind, that's what we're not counting. We're not counting that because I didn't listen to that album either. So yeah. So number 7 is Views. Number 6 is Her Loss. Number 5 is What a Time to Be Alive. Number 4 is Thank Me Later. Number 3, If You're Reading This, It's Too Late. Number 2 is Take Care. And number 1 is Nothing Was the Same. Yep, those are my albums ranked from worst to best for Drake. Now with this upcoming iteration of Iceman, that'll probably be joined in together with the ranking as well. So for anybody who was wanting to know and do that, I'll probably change the title. But yeah, those are my album rankings from worst to best for Drake. So yeah, that's it for me, everybody. I'm gonna get on out of here. I want to thank y'all for tuning in and watching. Like, share, and most of all, subscribe. I'm out. Peace.